LTC programming is supported by
Hi and welcome to Chamber Chat TV. I'm Danielle McFadden, president of the Chamber. We have a great show in store for you. It's a beautiful day out. We've been waiting a very long time for the nice weather, so I'm extra happy today. And I'm very happy to have Marsha Pizak here from Marsha P Coaching. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on. You were on our radio show before. We had a great time.
We did.
And now the TV.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about your business.
Okay.
So you're a divorce coach.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means that I help my clients get through divorce. They come to me at any phase that they're in divorce, the beginning, middle, or towards the wrapping up of it, the legal process, and I help them heal and redesign and rebuild their lives to move forward. There's so much decision making that goes on when someone goes through a divorce. And many times it's difficult if all your emotions are in play to make those decisions that are really good for you and your family and your children and your friends. It's hard to sometimes take a step back, slow the spin cycle down, and think, what do I really want? Particularly if you're meeting with divorce attorneys or if you're in mediation, it's easy to get into the emotions of it and not take a step back and think about what you want for your future.
I'm sure too, if you are bouncing ideas off of a friend or family member, it's not the same as having a coach.
That's true.
They're kind of wrapped up in the spin cycle with you.
They are, and I went through a divorce from a child's perspective, so my parents are divorced, and also as an adult. And I had wonderful support from family and friends, and they love you. So we all love to give advice, and it's based on love and what we think would be good for the person that we care so much about. With coaching, because it's more of an objective process, my clients really focus on, and I ask a lot of questions about, what would you like to do? What does that feel like? If you make this decision, how does that serve you in the process? And what if you make the other decision? What does that feel like? What scares you about this? And that way, the people going through the divorce that I'm working with are really thinking about themselves and thinking about what they would like, as opposed to hearing advice from everybody else, which is good to get, but we forget sometimes about remembering who we are, from the inside. So that's what coaching is more focused on.
And I'm sure too, you're helping them work through something versus them just reacting.
Yes, absolutely, and that's that's difficult many times, particularly if the divorce was initiated by your partner. Your life can go into chaos, and it can affect everything, right? It affects your identity, who you are as you're going through it. Sometimes you feel embarrassed. It can rattle your self-confidence, and then there's the whole logistical side. Finances. Oh my gosh, how's that going to affect? We're one home. How do we uncouple everything? And your parenting. People who have parents now need to look at co-parenting agreements. And even, it's interesting right now, the part of the community that's getting divorced at a faster rate are people, they call it gray hair divorces. Not that flattering, but people in their 50s, because we're living longer and they've done, they've raised the kids, they've had careers, and they realize, they have a ways to go. And if they've been unhappy for a lot of years, they're now looking at their lives and considering, and many, many times getting divorced. It's the fastest growing population right now.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's surprising. But I think it is because we're living longer and there's so much more to enjoy. And so, though they're done with the child rearing, again, it affects your relationships with your children, your retirement, where you're going to live. How do you step into a single identity? So even if it's something that you want for yourself, there's so many transitions that, that affect it. And even with adult children, it can be very difficult to share, share a divorce with adult kids.
Absolutely, but I can see when you're in your 50s, because in most cases the kids are gone and then you're with your partner and you don't have the kids to focus on anymore.
No, and yet the kids, we all like our security of that nuclear family. So it's interesting when the kids are sort of on their own, they still resist it. And even though they might have perceived that their parents didn't have a strong relationship, it's just change. And the dynamics of their relationship with each parent changes. So with coaching, I've had clients, work with me to navigate all of those different things. How do you tell your friends and family, and work as well? How do you tell your boss? And in some cases, it's people, particularly women, going back into the workforce. How do I do that? I've been home with my child. Now how do I go back? So we work on career plans.
Goes into it.
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
So
many times.
What is the coaching process like? We've talked a little bit about it, but if somebody's interested in hiring you, what is that like?
So the process itself, I work with my clients on video and also with the telephone. Clients like that because they can do it from everywhere, though I don't like when they do it when they're driving. I suggest not. And certainly I can meet with people in person, but my clients like the phone. And
I'm sure they're more likely to really just lay it out on the table too when you're talking to somebody versus the face-to-face. It might be a little bit easier.
It might be, yeah, for some it's a little bit more comfortable until that rapport and trust is built, certainly. It's confidential. What a lot of clients really like is, there's no judgment. I have no judgment about what their decisions are or what kind of brainstorming we do to play out different scenarios. It's really guiding them on what they want to rebuild their lives, right? And so we meet every week, and I ask a lot of empowering questions, and we start our sessions with, what would you like to work on this week? It can be something really small. Typically in the beginning of a divorce, a woman, one of my clients, after 30 years, it was a surprise to her that her husband wanted divorce. And in the beginning, her goals were, how do I do this? I'm crying at work every day. What do I do first? And so it can be little steps with, what can you do to take care of yourself? What things make you feel good? Or the goals that we set each week can be putting together the support network that you need, not just a coach, but which family and friends are going to be most supportive as you go through this very vulnerable time. So every week, the client tells me what they would like to work on. We discuss it. We talk about the things that may stop them from moving forward, what some of their maybe limiting beliefs are that may hold them back, what their challenges and inner roadblocks are, some assumptions possibly. So we do some deep work, and then as we work through the session, towards the end we talk about goals. What would you like to achieve between this session and next session? And even a lot of times, particularly in the beginning, they're tiny, tiny steps, but those tiny steps in a structured way, you can look back and you can say, what, I am making my way forward step by step. And between sessions, I'm available via text or email. So if someone's stuck or they're really struggling, they have access to me, and I can, help them get over that roadblock. It's flexible, certainly. It's a fluid process. You know, divorce, and like many processes, you don't go from A to B in a straight line. It's a zigzag, and you take, and I found this with my divorce, you know, a couple steps forward and you're feeling good and empowered, and then all of a sudden you think, oh my gosh, you know, look what I have to deal with, and something little might just shift your energy a bit. So it is kind of a back and forth process, which takes time. So I love to partner with my, you know, with my clients on this journey, because when they start to make bigger and more significant progress, and they feel good and they feel excited about the life that they're rebuilding, then I feel great. You know?
Definitely. And I like that you have the experience to go with it. I'm sure they really appreciate that.
They do. And the sessions, again, I don't give a lot of advice, but many times my clients will say, well, let's brainstorm, and we'll brainstorm. And many times they'll say, you know what, that's a good idea. I'm not tied to what my ideas are when we brainstorm, but many times what brainstorming does is it gets them thinking in a growth-oriented way.
Yeah.
And so it perks that up. And so they may not, you know, take what I was saying in the brainstorming session, but they have their own ideas now, but they needed that motivation to kind of think about it.
That's great. I love it. It's every week, so that,
It's
like
every
you said, they're
week.
moving forward.
They
Always
are.
setting the goals.
Yep, setting the goals, small to big, you know, they can be goals. Many of my clients, they change residence and they have to move out of the family home. You know, they're selling the house. That's really emotionally challenging for people. I went through it. And again, I've had clients say, I don't even know where to start. It's so emotional to pack. And so, you know, one week we say, okay, what closets, you know, can you hit? So you're at least setting something. And many times they will say, okay, I can do the 3 linen closets and my closet, you know, and start to donate things. And many times they'll do it the day before we talk. But they do it because there's an accountability with it too. So
It's like homework. I mean,
it's
so you wait till
homework.
you make sure you get it done, and sometimes you wait till the last minute, but it's done.
Yep, and I encourage my clients on our first call to have a little notebook so they can write down, they can journal, write down their thoughts about the session, reflect back, and also see what their goals are. And the goals they set for themselves, and we talk about, you know, what's a stretch goal, what's an easy goal, what's one you can deal with, what's realistic, and what might get in your way. And so when they set the goal at the end of the session, they feel really good that they can accomplish it.
So you mentioned how people contact you, but how do they initially get in touch with you? Like, what's that process like? Do they automatically just sign up and talk to you, or?
The easiest way to contact me is via my website. So it's www.marciapcoaching.com. So it's Marcia, M-A-R-C-I-A-P, coaching.com, and go right to my contact page. And on that contact page, I invite people to schedule or request a discovery session.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yep. So it's free of charge,
Yep.
and that way we can get on the phone. I can hear their story. They can ask questions about me, what we can do together, and then after that session, certainly, if they would like to move forward, I'll send them a proposal. I offer 3 packages: 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and 12 weeks. And many times people in the beginning will sign up for 12 weeks. And then if things are calm, you know, they'll sort of pull back from it, and then they'll come back, you know, 3 or 4 months later and sign up for another 12. Again, depending on where they are in the process and where it fits. And then sometimes I offer a support call. Sometimes I'll get people, they just want, 50 minutes of my time.
Yeah.
You know, they've done their 12 weeks and they just need one more call, and they're not ready to sign up for a package, but they want just a quick emergency call, and I offer that as well. But my website's the best way to schedule that, and also I have email and my phone numbers there as well.
And you mentioned that you do your sessions over Skype or on the phone. So if somebody watching has a family member, say in California,
Yes.
can you work with that person?
Absolutely, and I love that. I work with people all over the country, and I have some international clients as well. So yes, divorce is universal, and the challenges also are universal as you go through it. Even in the beginning, particularly again if your partner initiates, the decision making starts right away. You know, you're in this chaos and now you've got to make a lot of decisions. What kind of divorce do we want? There's mediation, you know, there's a collaborative divorce. Do I get a lawyer? What do I do first? And so it's really understanding what those different things are. And you know, the benefit of coaching as well is I believe that the process goes a little bit faster. You can't rush through the healing process for sure. But if you're more mindful and conscious about the decisions that you have to make, it is going to move faster, because now when you go to your lawyer, even though you know it's going to be really difficult to talk about child care arrangements or splitting up 401ks or the house, if beforehand you have a mindset that this is what I'm going to discuss with the person, you know, with the lawyer, and that's what I'm going to focus on, I'm going to leave the emotions at the door. And then that really does speed up the process.
Speeds up the process and probably the cost as well.
Yes,
if you're
it
not
does.
spending, you know, 2 hours trying to go over who gets the couch.
That too.
And you do see that kind of stuff happening.
Yeah, because there's a lot of complicated emotions that go through this. And also, I've had real estate agents also tell me that, you know, they feel terrible when they're dealing with someone who's selling the house, and they do a lot of listening, but they say, I want to get the house on the market, you know, so they're torn.
Yeah.
So I love to work with my clients so they can do all that work with me, so when they step into those meetings, they can be really productive with their decision making.
So we only have a couple minutes left. I told you it was going to go by fast.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you want the viewers to know about Marsha P. Coaching?
No, just it's my passion to work with both men and women. I do have more women than men on coaching. It's on divorce. It's really difficult, and I think with the right guidance, the process towards your new life can go a little bit better.
And one more time, how folks can contact you.
www.marciapcoaching.com and go right to my contact page.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It was great being here.
We always love seeing you.
Thank you.
And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back.
LTC is Lowell's Community Media and Education Center. We have the tools to help you express yourself and change the world. You have the stories that need to be told about people and organizations having a positive impact. Human needs and human rights. You are the person to tell that story on TV, and we can help. LTC offers video production classes and all the equipment you need to get your message out. Do it yourself, or use our professionals to help make it happen. Your story might be a half-hour talk show, event coverage, an original drama, documentary, or a social media post. We make it easy for you to express yourself and make a difference. Contact LTC to schedule an appointment to plan how to get your message out to the world.
The technology, the creativity.
Lowell Telecommunications Corporation.
The world comes to Lowell, Massachusetts.
Hi, and welcome back to Chamber Chat TV. We have a great segment in store for you because we have Jane Calvin here from Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Every time I talk to you, I learn something new about your organization.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes, so today will be no different. So
Okay.
let's talk a little bit about Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust and your mission.
Well, the mission of the Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust, what I like to say is quickly that it really is to create community through conservation. We have a longer mission, but I'll just leave it at create community through conservation.
How do you do that?
There's
There
a
are
vari-
so many ways.
There are so many ways. really, we just want to engage you in learning about and caring for the natural resources of the city. That's really what we're all about. And so if you want to come fish monitoring with us, there's a wonderful community of volunteers that are helping us with fish monitoring. If you want to come rafting, you'll be in a community in your boat, you know, that you'll be able to raft with us. You could join us for a corporate trip, or a corporate stewardship project at one of the parks. We have FedEx coming on Wednesday for a big cleanup.
Excellent.
And there'll be 50 of them creating their own community all day, and a memorable experience that they'll all hopefully remember us for.
Definitely. Oh, I love that. And I'm sure there's always opportunities for stuff like that, because you own quite a bit of land, or...
We do. We are a land trust, so we do own land throughout the city of Lowell, and we do have a lot of stewards that come and take care of those properties, but there are always gaps that we're trying to fill, and love to have groups come out with us.
What are some of the pieces of land, I guess would be the proper way to say it?
Sure, the Concord River Greenway is
Yeah.
one, especially. That's city-owned, but we do a lot of the stewardship for the Concord River Greenway. The Spalding House,
Yeah.
the Chamber joined us for the Spalding House, which is very exciting. Even a place like Kittredge Park, we can help make it happen. That's a really visible park. It's not a park that we own, but we can help coordinate stewardship at Kittredge Park. There was a group from a local temple that went out there and did a cleanup, and we headed them in that direction. So there's lots of different properties. Even West Meadow, Constellation Energy is coming out to West Meadow to work on our 4-acre property there. So you can be in the city, or feel like you're not so much in the city, and to do projects with us.
What's the fish monitoring?
Fish monitoring. If I tell you about it, will you come?
Yeah, count some fish.
Yeah, so we're counting fish now through probably the middle of June. And we're actually looking at the return of anadromous fish on the Concord River. So they're coming from the ocean, up the Merrimack, taking a dive, actually south on the Concord River. And then on the Concord, they hit a fish ladder there. And there's actually a camera sitting at the end of the fish ladder. And so we're actually counting them with the camera, but also we have about 50 volunteers trained this season, and they're going out every hour for 10 minutes. We have a really, really wonderful core of volunteers. And then also working with Fish and Wildlife Service, NOAA, Division of Marine Fisheries in Massachusetts. So there's a lot of state and federal partners as well.
Now, why do they count the fish?
Well, their job is fisheries management. So, and they can't do everything.
Yeah.
And they can't be the eyes and ears everywhere. And so that's a great role for our organization to play.
And it's a great volunteer opportunity.
It's
not
a great
ton of
volunteer
time
opportunity, and it's a great opportunity for anybody of any age. So we have homeschoolers that are coming. We have folks that are coming in from Wilmington.
Wow.
A wide area.
And you mentioned the Spalding House, and you can actually do field trips there. So I wanted to mention that, because we talked
we're
about that
doing
when I was
Girl
there.
Scouts and Boy Scouts and school field trips, in and out of school. So it could be after-school programs. It could be during the school day. So there are lots of opportunities for that. We're developing more and more of diversity in the curriculum that we can offer there for different grades.
What are some of the youth programs that you have currently?
At the Spalding House, or just in general?
In general.
Oh, in general. Well, the biggest one is our after-school program. We're actually in 9 different schools.
Wow. That's amazing.
And we have 3 or 4 teachers out every afternoon teaching in K to 12 in partnership with the Lowell Public Schools. So right after this, I'm actually going to visit the program at the Stockloosa.
Oh, excellent. Great.
And so those programs are all STEM-based. We're helping to extend the learning time during the day to after school, but make it fun. There's lots of times, kids need a place to stay, need a place to be after school. So why not extend the learning day, but make it fun? And then there are the high school programs where we fill a niche in terms of a safe place for people to be after school. And we're at the high school 3 days a week now.
Wow. You do so much. I'm going to go off script, but do you accept donations to help make these things happen?
Thank you for going off script. I appreciate that. Yeah. In fact, the bulk of our budget is really and pardon me, but I'm going to say members like you. You know, people like you will give us $25, $50, $100, and then there are the really generous donors that go way above and beyond that as well. But it's a really diverse group of folks that support us, and we're thankful for every check that comes in.
And you're a 501c3 too.
We are a 501c3, and you can donate through our website. You can send us a check. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your desktop. There's a variety of ways. You can do it through PayPal. We try and make it easy.
And if you go visit the Spalding House, you have some. When are you open?
The second
Typically.
Sunday
Okay.
of the month.
Because there's a little donation box there too.
There
So
is,
you can always
yeah.
just drop
Yep.
it off. And the Spalding House is such a beautiful property. It's on the river. The history. You want to talk a little bit about the history?
Sure. Well, the Spalding House was built in 1760, and it was originally an inn for barge keepers because
so
the barge
interesting.
keepers, the barges that were coming from New Hampshire and from New Hampshire down the Merrimack, and they were most often loaded with the king's pines. You know, because when the Spalding House was built, we were still under a king. The house was paid for with pounds, and so. The king would actually, they were called the King's Pines, and they'd be marked with the King's logo, what we call it nowadays, and it would get sent off down Salem Street, right? Salem went to the shipbuilding industry on the North Shore, but there were ships laden with wood products, and when they got to the dam, they had to take apart their barges, and then they needed a place to stay overnight. And then they would carry all the wood, the barges, everything they needed for the barges, then would get carried down the street to where the Lasher Stadium is, where it was safer to put everything back in the water.
That is so crazy to think about that.
And that's just the early history. Then
my
we had
gosh.
3 Revolutionary War soldiers. There were the toll keepers at the Pawtucket Street, the School Street Bridge.
It's amazing. I love the history. And you have the swinging door.
Yes, there's a
second
door
floor.
in the sea. There's only 2 of those in Massachusetts. There's a hanging door and a wall that comes down.
So
Yes.
definitely have to come check that out.
Yeah.
Such great history and such a great opportunity. And Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust saved that property.
Well, we did. There was nobody else that wanted it at
Yeah,
the time. It was about 1995. The Daughters of the American Revolution had the house, and the state park didn't want it. The local historic organization didn't want it. The national park didn't want it. I think they all thought of it as too much of a risk, but we just thought of it as an asset and a great way to tell our story in a unique way.
Yep. Nailed it.
I hope so.
Hashtag nailed
I
it.
hope so. The audiences at the Spalding House are really growing.
So where can we next see Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust's positive change on the ground? Oh, we've talked a little bit about some of this stuff.
We have talked a
But
little
not
bit
the-
about it. Let's see. So there's, of course, the Concord River Greenway, and that's the Concord River Greenway. I wanted to let folks know that the next section of the Concord River Greenway will be going out to bid this winter for installation in the fall. We really have overcome some of the last few obstacles that we have in terms of all the permitting that has to happen. And this is a city-driven project. It's going to be their trail, but we provide a lot of the community outreach, a lot of the sort of value-added pieces like the multilingual signage and the public art. And so that the next phase of that will include a bridge over the Concord River as well, just right over where the rafting happens.
Very cool.
So that'll be really exciting to see that happen.
will be. So
Yeah.
when I go whitewater rafting one of these days, you'll be able to watch me from the bridge.
I will be there personally, definitely, definitely. And then another big project we're working on is extending the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail into the city. So we want to extend that under the Lowell Connector.
Yep.
And the Jarvis Auto Dealership has been really supportive and helpful with that, as well as the Friends of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. So we're really excited to see that happen.
That is so exciting because we've been talking about that for a
It's
little
in
while.
such
and-
demand,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, that'll
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
And then your Urban Wildlife Refugee Partnership City.
That's a mouthful, isn't
Tell
it?
me what that is.
So Lowell, in November, Lowell was designated as an Urban Wildlife Refuge Partnership City. And so that comes federally through the National Fish and Wildlife, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the department. of U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Department.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, sorry. And they that comes directly from them. There are only 29 in the whole country. We were the 29th that was chosen.
Wow, congratulations.
And so it brings extra resources. So when I'm doing this big cleanup with FedEx on Wednesday, not only will be there, the trust staff will be there, but also staff from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service will also be there, which is a huge help because it's a big group and we all want to see the same outcomes. So
Refuge. Did I say refugee? As I said it, I'm like,
you did, but you were reading a mouthful.
I was, but refuge, just for the
Urban Wildlife Refuge. It is. It's kind of, but it's also kind of an oxymoron too, right? People don't think of it as urban and wildlife going together.
I mean, we experienced that. We had a mixer the last fall.
Oh yeah, you guys got to come out to Hawk Valley Farm.
Yeah.
That's another property that people can explore. That's off of Varnum Ave.
I know, I live right up the street and I didn't even realize.
Have you gone
I was
back?
there. I need to go back.
Bring your kids.
I know, the weather is finally starting to break where
is,
it'll be
it is,
where
I
it'll be
know.
good to do that. But we got to walk through the property and it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad you got to experience
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of wildlife there. We've tracked everything from fisher cat to fox, deer, an amazing mink.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'll have to watch out with my kids now. I know they don't go near. What else do you want the viewers to know about Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust?
Well, we have an upcoming fundraiser on June 15th, our summer solstice soiree, and anyone is welcome to join us for that. It is anyone is welcome. There is a $75 ticket price, but it does not just meant for members. It really is more of a backyard. Sometimes we call it a fundraiser, but it is a fundraiser, and our summer solstice soiree. So that's June 15th.
Fun.
And then the following weekend, I'm doing one of the walks, the Lowell walks with Richard Howe.
Awesome.
And we're going to be exploring a lot of the areas that you and I have talked about today, the Concord River Greenway. We'll head over to the fish ladder so people can see the fish monitoring operation in person. And then we'll also look at the new mill that's being developed or restored into and apartments that are going into the old West End gym.
Oh, excellent.
So after the Lowell Walks event, people can also tour that property with
Excellent.
us.
How cool. Oh
So
my
there's a lot still going on. We don't slow down in the summer. We'll have summer, they're after school, but their school. We have summer school for the end of June all the way to early August this summer. So
You don't stop.
We do
And you've
not
been there
stop.
for a couple of years.
just a few.
But it's amazing. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the evolution of the organization too. And
I've seen the evolution of the organization, but I really, more importantly, have seen the evolution of the city, and it's really great to be part of an organization that's helping to create that change.
you sure are. And I wanted to mention, you mentioned that people come from other towns too. So you don't just have to live or work in Lowell to take advantage of everything.
Absolutely not. About 40% of our membership comes from outside the city, and even if you're not a member, you're always welcome at our events.
So very important. How can folks get in touch with you?
I'd love to have somebody watching this get in touch with us. So I'll tell you what, if somebody gets in touch with us after watching this, I'll send them one of our fun bumper stickers.
I love
so if
it.
they send
Awesome.
an email or something like that said, I saw you talking to Danielle,
Yeah.
I'll send you out a bumper sticker. How's
Perfect.
that?
I love this call to action.
So anyways, anyone can check out our website. It's lowelllandtrust.org. www.lowelllandtrust.org, and our phone number is 978-934-0030, and anyone can always email me at info@lowelllandtrust.org.
And your event is on June 15th, your
June
fundraiser.
15th, our soiree, yes.
I love that. Summer soiree. And then the Lowell Walks is the following weekend.
That's June 21st. June 22nd, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
June. Open your calendars.
Yeah.
And if people are already thinking to next year for the school year and you're a teacher and you can planning a field trip.
Yes,
think of
field
the
trips are
Spalding
always
House.
welcome at the Spalding House or any of our other properties as well. We actually do quite a bit of partnership with UMass Lowell and
Excellent.
their teaching program. If you're a homeschooler, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, we'd like to help you out.
Great. Thank you so much. I always love talking to you.
Thank you
So
so
much
much for
fun.
inviting us.
Thank you all for tuning into Chamber Chat this month. You can check out our website, greaterlowellchamber.org. We don't stop during the summer either. We have a lot going on. So the best way to reach us is to check out the website and then contact contact us from there. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to go outside and enjoy the weather for a couple of minutes, at least to the garage. Thank you.
Thank you.
The technology, the creativity,
Lowell Telecommunications Corporation.
The world comes to Lowell, Massachusetts.